Welcome to this Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde webinar for Year 10 and Year 11 students. We're looking at Edward Hyde quotations in order to understand his character, link the quotations to key themes and analyse them using subject terminology. Mr. Hyde is introduced through the narrative of Mr. Enfield in chapter 1. So we have this wonderful Victorian stylistic or structural device of the story within the story. Before he's introduced, the setting is introduced, and that use of pathetic fallacy, the emotions and the feelings and the character is very strong. The door is described as being equipped with neither bell nor knocker and blistered and disdained. That means that you couldn't find anything to alert attention for the door. So that sense of secrecy is really emphasized here. And the fact that it was blistered and disdained emphasizes the theme of corruption. Mr. Enfield talks in chapter 1 about the vicious and brutal side of Hyde as he tramples calmly over a child's body. The poor child is screaming for help, and that adverb and the juxtaposition of trampled and calmly shows how cruel and unsympathetic and sadistic even Mr. Hyde is in chapter 1. And the fact that Enfield compares him with Satan, that diabolical imagery, again roots us into this idea of his sheer evil. Now, Utterson meets Hyde face to face in chapter 2, and some of these quotations are interesting, and they further develop this idea of a cruel, vicious, and sadistic character. It says that Hyde shrank back with a hissing intake of breath. That onomatopoeic verb, hissing, suggests a vicious animal, and this is reinforced and underscored by a flush of anger. He can't control his emotions. He's instinctual, rather than human and logical. And the way that he talks to Utterson is shocking. Utterson is so appalled that he addresses Hyde and almost tells him off. This is not fitting language. And Hyde thinks it's funny. He's snarled with a savage laugh, and that oxymoron of savage and laugh shows that he is disrespectful and disregards any kind of social norm and rules for behaviour. The impression that Utterson is given of Hyde is a haunting sense of deformity, and that adjective haunting really emphasises the feeling that he is a supernatural, demonic figure. In chapter 4, Hyde, in cold blood, murders the well-known and renowned MP, Sir Danvers Carew, and the language here used to describe the murder is very vicious and violent. Audibly shattered are his bones. Ape-like fury is the anger, and the storm of blows shows the intensity of the rage. Again, he is not acting in any way that is respecting of social bounds. In chapter 7, we realize that this is the end of Hyde's reputation. The inspector says that this crime should make his name stink from one end of London to the other, and that verb stink is really powerful because a smell goes before you, your reputation goes before you, and a Victorian man's reputation was almost his life. So the end of his reputation was almost the end of his life, but also because he was murderer, it was literally the end of his life. He would be punished by hanging. At the end of the novel, we can see that Hyde is trying to take over and overthrown and disempower Jekyll, because the struggle between the two men is there right to the bitter end. His ape-like tricks were played, scrawling in my own hand the blasphemies, so the disrespect for the Bible or anything religious was there, and at the end Jekyll was fighting himself. The ending of the fight was when Jekyll decided to take his own life, and Hyde lies contorted and twitching, and these violent verbs shows the violent death. The only act that Jekyll felt that would stop the development of the evil of the character of Hyde. I hope this has helped you to understand Hyde's character. Thank you for joining me, and see you next time.